Well, the story I have for you today is another story about Anansi. You remember Anansi is sort of like a human and sort of like a spider. And Anansi is very, very clever, but also very greedy, especially for free food. Well, one time Anansi heard that they were going to have a barbecue in this village over here. And he loved barbecue. It was going to be a free barbecue. He wanted to go early so he could start eating as soon as it was served. But then he found out they were going to have a barbecue in that village too. They were going to barbecue a whole cow. Wow, he really wanted to go there too. But the trouble was, which village was going to start serving first? Whichever one started first, he wanted to go there and eat as much as possible, and then he could go to the other one and finish up. But it would be terrible if he went to one and waited while the other one was already serving. He didn't want to miss anything. What could he do? This was before there was internet or telephones, let alone cell phones. How could he get a message from those villages to let him know? He was very clever. He went to this town. He brought a big long rope and he said, "Hey, fellas, want to earn some money? When they start serving the barbecue, you take hold of your end of the rope and pull on it. I'll be holding the other end. I'll feel your signal and I'll come right away. Okay? And when I come, I'll pay you." Well, there were some guys there who wanted to earn a little money, so they agreed to do it. Then he went to the other village and he said the same thing. "Here's a rope. Pull on your end when they start serving the barbecue. I'll feel the pull and I'll come and then I'll pay you." And they agreed too. So now he had two ropes and he was waiting and waiting and waiting. Sometimes the wind came from one village or the other village. Oh, the barbecue smelled so good. He could hardly wait. Ah, oh, oh, but he began to get a little sleepy just sitting there waiting, holding those two ropes. "I wish I could take a nap, but if I take a nap, I might drop the rope and then I wouldn't feel the signal. What can I do?" Oh, Anansi was so clever. He took his end of this rope, put it around his great big belly, tied a knot. That way, when they start pulling, I'll feel it and I won't have to hold on. He did the same thing with the other rope, tied it around his belly. Now he didn't have to hold it. He just went to sleep, had a nice nap. But you know what happened? It just so happened that both towns got ready to serve their barbecue at the same time. So this one started pulling and that one started and when this one pulled he couldn't come because that one was pulling him back and he pulled this way and that way and this way and that way and those ropes around his tummy pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. They squished him in the middle and he couldn't go anywhere. They kept on pulling until all the barbecue was gone and the guys said, that Nancy, he was just joking. He wasn't going to come and pay us. So they dropped their ropes. And at last, Nancy was free, but there was no barbecue left. And he was permanently stuck with a small waist. Not because he ate so much, but because he was greedy and those ropes had squished him. And if you ever manage to look really closely at a spider, if you catch one in a glass jar so you can look at it, you will notice the spider does have a small waist. The front part of the spider is called cephalothorax, that means head and chest, and the back part is the abdomen or the tummy, but in between there's a little teeny tiny waist. I don't know the science explanation for why, but that's how they are. And people tell the story about Anansi and the barbecue so that every time you see a spider's small waist, you can be reminded about what happens when somebody is really, really greedy and thinks they are so clever they can have everything. So that's the story of Anansi and the barbecue. Well, let me see. Where's the recording thing? Ah, on my screen. I don't see it. Anyway, here we go.